Yeah. Okay. And not to say like mute and don't say a darn word. Please just jump in when you guys do have questions. Okay. Let me just take a sip of my coffee. So I have two patterns here. So because I do like to illustrate and procreate, I did say everything had to be vector. So I'm just opening up this board and I'm just doing this as kind of a pre-recording and just a pre-lesson, just in case anybody wants this. So, and I'm not talking your sketches for this week. This is literally like your finalized sketches. If you do still prefer to do everything in Procreate, you're welcome to, as long as things, again, still to reiterate, are not too detailed. Not a lot of like bells and whistles, because when we do bring them and vectorize them, we don't want to lose a lot of those details. So if you are perhaps using Procreate, I exported as a high-res TIFF. I made sure that I did my illustrations on like a large artboard and in high resolution again. So when it got exported, everything still looks good. So I apologize if this is like all old news to you, team, but I just wanted to go over this just in case. So here's my my TIFF that I just brought in, and I'm going to, in fact, image trace. So I'm just going to go ahead and go image trace first. It's just saying it's slow. And then we're going to open up. So I like to image trace before like expanding or doing like anything like that. You could see it obviously did not import the way I wanted to. I'm just going to open up my image trace panels. So when I do that, I can go ahead and adjust these settings, and you can adjust for how little and how much detail you in fact want. Like this, because it is a high resolution file, this will take a lot of time. So I'm not going to go and change all of the settings here with you, because I don't want to kill all the time doing that and watching you guys. I'll let you guys run that through. Of course, I just want to open up one window and I'll let that go first. Making sure I don't have foam on my lip here. Gosh. I'm just going to stop that. Okay, so you would want as color. And here's where you're going to do a lot of your adjustments. So your path, so this is depending how much detail, how little detail, there is a sweet spot specific to your illustration. So it will not always be the same. This will take some playing. Same with the corners, how smooth, how many little nodes in there, that will take time to, or that will, again, these are all specific to your, all specific to your illustration. So please apply it to, if you are using this, to what you feel is right for you. What I do want to make sure is ignore white. You do want to keep that on, because if not, it'll take every little white bit through here. And if you maybe have some white in your illustration, that's now going to be an object as well. When we say ignore white, it blasts it through. So it ends up pretty much like being a transparent PNG type thing. So once you do that, and you have all your settings, you're like, it loads and your preview pops up and you can see what it looks like. Once you're happy with it, you just press expand and it turns into something like this. So now everything is vectorized and I have all my little itty bitty elements exactly as I want them. So again, that was strictly just to, if you're starting from Procreate. If you are jumping into Illustrator with your elements, please feel free. Some of you might have a pattern where you do a pattern specifically to maybe a rectangle, maybe it's something like this. I'm a kind of just more of a sporadic illustrative person. So I like to draw different elements and then I piece them together into what I think looks good and is fitting. So to start building out the pattern, we are going to have an artboard here that's 18 by 18. So that's the first step. So say on one artboard, doesn't matter what size it is, you started illustrating all of your little bits and pieces, or you were doing your experimenting, and now it's time to kind of essentially build out your pattern. So that's where we specifically need that 18 by 18. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Illustrator and we're going to go Preferences, General, and we're going to change our keyboard increments to 18. sounds wild. It's going to make sense in a minute. So we change our increments to 18 and we press OK. So now essentially I'm just going to, whoops, no, I should have pre-grouped those little suckers. Now I'm going to start building out that pattern with my elements. So I'm just going to just group a few. I'm not going to go and build this all with you here. Kind of like a cooking show. It's like, and I have one ready. So I'm going to just start plunking my elements on here. And you can do them nice and sporadic. So as mentioned in the brief, you do have to have stuff spilling off the top and off the edges. That is key, especially to make that pattern look a little more random. If you are utilizing elements that will be repeated, probably like me, I do suggest maybe instead of just like this, perhaps maybe you do a little spin on one. Maybe you do a different, you flip some around. Perhaps you change your colors a little bit just to give a little more randomness, because the better and the more it doesn't look like a defined pattern, the better. So let's just pretend I've got these all laid out now. Just put a few more on here. So now it comes to spilling things off the edge. So you might have done something like this. Okay, whoops, let's just grab a few other things for some variety. So now once we have things spilled off the edge, so what's happening when we have a pattern is we have this square and it's essentially getting duplicated when we create that pattern. So that's why we have things coming off of the edge. So what we're going to do is, so this piece is spilling off the edge. So we need this piece to now be down at the bottom. So we need the upper part of this pattern, or sorry, the lower part of this pattern to be essentially right here. So I'm going to select this piece that's spilling off. I'm going to Command C, and then I'm going to Command F. So that's going to paste it in place. And then I'm literally just going to hit my down arrow once. And that's where that 18 increments is going to come in handy. And you're done. So now exactly where this pattern ends, it's going to begin again. So when it gets grid and stacked together, it's set. So now I'm going to go Command C and Command F. And now what happens when I hit this, I'm like, oh, shoot, I had this pattern, this element here, and it spills into it. So that means I'm going to, okay, I'm going to make a little adjustment. Same thing goes in here, Command C, Command F, and then I'm going to hit that arrow now going to the other side. And same with here, Command C, Command F, and then hit that arrow going to the other side. So we just continue to do this. We start to fill in any little gaps that we see, or any little holes that might happen. We might kind of go, okay, I want to shrink this down. Maybe I want this to spill up at the top of the bottom. So it works the same way when it goes off the top and off the side. So I'm going to go Command C, Command F, and I'm going to down arrow first since it spills off the top. So that piece is now a problem. But now since it spills off of the edge, I also need those to reflect over to the left-hand side. I'm going to select both of those, Command C, Command F to paste in place, and I'm going to hit my left arrow. And now we're rolling here. So as we can see now, these are get in the way a little bit. So we start to build and we start to build and we start to build. Just like a cooking show. And here we go. And here's my pattern all built up. Let me just delete that. So now I'm pretty happy with the scale of things. Everything appears to be spilling off of the edges properly, but that's where testing is going to come in handy. So what we're going to do next, so again, this is our 18 by 18 board. I'm going to hit my M, or you're going to go over to your rectangle tool, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to make a square that's 18 inches by 18 inches. The key to this project is your transform tools. So keeping those up front and center. So I'm just going to take that box. I'm going to just pop that into the top left corner. So hitting my 0 and 0. Again, confirming it's 18 by 18. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go Command Shift and square bracket, and I'm going to send that to back. We could do the same as going, gosh, I know my hotkey so well. I don't even know where that is. Where is send to back? Anyways, I'm sure you guys know where it is in your menu, or Command Shift square bracket will send it to back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cursor way past my pattern. I'm going to click and drag, making sure I only select things if you've got any little bits and pieces off the edge that you don't need. Try not to include those. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it into my swatches.